Well, so far we've looked at two sources of weather information that you'll use for pre-flight planning. The METAR, which gives you existing airport weather, and the TAF, which provides airport forecasts. Now, while they offer you solid information at those airports with reporting stations and forecasters, they still neglect huge chunks of the sky and scads of non-reporting airports. So, I can hear you wondering, is there some magical amulet that will help you conjure up weather forecasts for those en route areas and those non-METAR TAF airports? Well, Shazam! Ladies and gents, permit me to introduce to you the Area Forecast, your talisman for warding off evil weather spirits over those much larger pieces of real estate. Now, area forecasts are issued 3 times a day, and they cover an expanse of several states. This chart shows each of the 6 areas that the area forecasts cover in the lower 48 states. And like most government inventions, the area forecast has an abbreviation, FA. A little backwards maybe, but that's what they use. And each area forecast is divided into 4 sections: the header, the precautionary statements, the synopsis, and VFR clouds and weather. So let's look at the different sections and see what wizardry they contain. The first section of the area forecast, the header, tells you what area it's issued for, the date and time it was issued, the valid times of the forecast, and what states or areas it covers. So you can see that this forecast is for the area covered by the Salt Lake City office. It was issued on the 14th day of the month at 10:45 Zulu, and the forecast is valid on the hour after it was issued, so in this case it's valid at 1100 Zulu. Now you're also told the valid periods for the weather information in the other sections, the synopsis, the VFR clouds and weather, and the outlook. So let's take a look at the valid time on the synopsis. The synopsis is valid for 18 hours from 1100 Zulu until 0500 Zulu on the next day, the 15th day of the month. The VFR clouds and weather are valid until 2300 Zulu on this same day. And the outlook is good for the last 6 hours of the forecast, or from 2300 Zulu on the 14th until 0500 Zulu on the next day, the 15th day of the month. Now, the second section includes the precautionary statements that you'll find in every area forecast. There's 3 of them, and they provide important reminders, and they only sound as if they were written by an attorney. First, they remind you to always check for the latest AirMet Sierra, which covers IFR conditions and mountain obscurations in the area that you'll be flying. So where do you find AirMet Sierra? Well, you find the AirMets, SIGMETs, and convective SIGMETs in the in-flight weather advisories, which we'll talk about a little later. The second precautionary statement reminds you of what should be obvious to all pilots, that thunderstorms contain severe hazards. It says thunderstorms imply possible severe or greater turbulence, severe icing, low-level wind shear, and IFR conditions. Not good stuff. And the final precautionary statement tells you that all heights given are above sea level, unless they specifically say AGL or use the term CIG for ceiling, because ceilings are always above ground level. Well, now that the administrative details are disposed of, you'll find the first real weather information in the third section, the synopsis. The synopsis states the big picture. It tells you what's happening with low and high pressure systems, fronts, and so on. Now, the forecasters will also tell you here about low ceilings or visibility, strong winds, or anything else that they consider useful. In this example, they let you know that high pressure over northeastern Montana will continue to move eastward gradually, and that low pressure over Arizona, New Mexico, and western Texas will be remaining generally stationary. And aloft, up in the atmosphere, there's a trough that extends from western Montana into southern Arizona, and that will be remaining stationary. Now, the final section of the area forecast is the VFR clouds and weather. While the synopsis talks about a general geographic area, the VFR clouds and weather section gets a bit more specific. And here they give you a 12-hour specific forecast followed by a 6-hour outlook. The weather breakdown may be by an individual state or states or a well-known geographical area. This is where they'll tell you about the visibility if it's forecast to be less than 6 statute miles. And also where they'll tell you if they anticipate thunderstorms, precipitation, or winds if the winds are forecast to be 20 knots or more. The kinds of things that a VFR pilot would really want to know about. So let's take a look at what they're forecasting here in Wyoming and Colorado. Now, the exact area of coverage of this segment goes from Bozeman, Montana, to Gillette, Wyoming, to Liberal, Kansas, to Dove Creek, Colorado, to Rock Springs, Wyoming, and back to Bozeman. Notice here that since they're getting more specific, they're using 3-letter identifiers. Now, the base of the broken to overcast layer of clouds is 7,000 to 9,000 feet MSL, and the tops are shown here as 20,000 feet. You know they're the tops because they come after the symbols for the cloud layers. Now, the visibility is forecast to be greater than 6 statute miles and the winds to be less than 20 knots. And you know this because nothing is said about wind and visibility, except that occasionally you might have visibilities of 3 miles in light rain, R- and fog. Now, they tell us that after 2000 Zulu, you can expect widely scattered thunderstorms and light rain showers, RW- for light rain showers. They use a little bit different abbreviations in the area forecast than you've seen in the METARs and TAFs. CB tops, cumulonimbus tops, could go to 45,000 feet. So if I were planning to get to Liberal, Kansas, I'd be getting there well before 2000 Zulu. Now, the last part of the section tells you the outlook for the final 6 hours of the forecast period. In this case, from 2300 Zulu until 0500 Zulu the next day. The outlook section tells you if the forecasters think it will be IFR for that 6 hours, or marginal VFR, or just plain VFR. Here they think it will be marginal VFR. Why is it going to be marginal VFR? Well, for one reason, due to ceilings, because it says CIG, meaning the ceiling should be between 1,000 and 3,000 feet, but also marginal VFR due to visibility because it has RW for rain showers, so they're expecting the visibility to be 3 to 5 miles because of rain showers. Now, if you see the note WND for wind in the categorical outlook, the wind is forecast to be 20 knots or more. So area forecast can be good luck charms for your flight planning chores, even if you don't have a terminal forecast. And they'll give you a good feel for areas of weather that might cause you concern. Thus armed, you'll be able to leap skyward with confidence, even in those untapped, non-METAR'd portions of the planet.